Does your business have an operating system? Every business needs an operating system, just like computers have one. And if you're running on DOS 4.0, it's going to be hard to keep up with the competition in the world today. And so there's a book called Traction EOS, that stands for Traction Entrepreneurial Operating System. And I've got the book cover here. It's a classic. Many MSPs we talk to have at least heard of it, but many haven't read it or partially implemented it, just bits and pieces. And we've had the request of, hey, tell us more about how you're using it. So today I want to speak a bit about my journey with it in my company. So my name is Wim Kerkhoff. I'm the founder and CEO of TopLeft Software for MSPs, as well as two MSPs here in Canada, Kerkhoff Technologies and Crafty Penguins. I started about 15 years ago, and it was really as a tech, kind of classic, had no idea about management and leadership. In those first 5 years, I didn't have much of an operating system for the company. Then I found traction through one of the circles I got into, the groups I got into, and started to self-implement and went upwards from there. It's been up and down, of course. There's been times I had to start over and with ups and downs of the company. And about 5 years ago, we re-implemented using a coach, and that's been good. And then the last 3 or 4 years, I've been self-implementing and improving that. And there's other systems as well. There's Scaling Up. There's the Metronome system. There's a bunch of these operating systems. Pick one, use one. I like Traction because it's easier to understand than some of the other systems. You can get through the book quicker and understand the concepts quicker. It can take several years to implement. We're still not all the way there. There's, I think, some things we can be doing better, and it's a work in progress. There is a tool to help you see where you're the weakest at and the strongest at, and then you can hit those weak areas and strengthen those pillars. There's about, I think, 5 or 6 books. There's the original Traction book. There's a novel called Get a Grip, just good, like a novel parable format. And then there's a little orange one called What the Heck is EOS? We give that to all of our employees. Everybody gets the orange What the Heck is EOS, which simplifies it. It's a shorter book, easier to read, big letters, small pages. And then the main Traction book goes to any leader who's in a quarterly meeting and level 10. And they've got a new book as well called the EOS Life, which is how do you apply this to your life if you've redesigned your company so it's running well, how do you apply it to your life in general? So in this video, I want to go through 5 key parts of Traction and to give you a taste of that in introduction. The first part is all about people. And they do that with the accountability chart, which maps out all your roles and accountability. And so it starts with actually your owner's box on the top. You want to keep the owner in his or her box or their box and not let them jump into the company as an owner. They have to work through their roles. And then you have the visionary, typically your CEO, not always, who's big ideas, big relationships, that sort of thing, looking into the future. So I'm always looking 3 years, a year, 50 years in the future. The integrator is the counterpart, the partnership, is part of the duo that's dealing with today, Traction today, keeping the trains running on time, making sure your metrics are being hit, the performance is there, P&L, all those things. So more of an operational role. And then everyone else reports to the integrator. So in their typical chart, you've got sales and marketing, operations, and finance. In an MSP, those would be different. So you can change those 3. You might split sales and marketing, and you might split operations and service. You could have 5 or 7 at this level. Not too many, because you're in the meetings together, and if you've got 8, 10 people, that's just too many in the meeting. And then it breaks down. So the LMA, which stands for Lead Management Accountability, goes down through the chart. When you dial in your roles and get the right people in there, that's super powerful. And they say this is the number one thing to start. It's not the rocks. It's not the meeting agenda. Start with your accountability chart. Dial that in, going from the top and all the way down. And some people may end up leaving through this company, or you might have to transition some people out as part of this process to get the right team and structure. Then going with that is your people analyzer, which applies your roles and designing your roles and your core values. So of course, you got to go through the exercise of identifying who you are and your core values of your core players. What do you have in common? And then making sure everybody's above the bar. So every quarter, we go through the people analyzer and see, are they meeting the requirements for the core values and their positions. We look at GWC. That's for, do they get the role? They understand what's all entailed in the responsibilities? Do they actually want it? and they have capacity, the skills, the mental capacity, emotional, physical, etc. to do the job. So start with who and not what. Number 2 is the 90-day rock. So many people will be at least familiar with the idea, and we'll start here. So the idea is a key initiative for the next quarter to move the business forward. So this should fit into your yearly, your 3-year goals and where you want to go. The concept here is setting up these as big priorities is like this idea of the jar. You may have heard of the analogy often taught in schools, universities, around priorities in life. If you start with your distractions and the small tasks, you're not going to have room for the real priorities, which could be family, your health. So get the priorities straight, and then the other things will still happen. So do that in your businesses. Maybe there's 2 or 3 key rocks or initiatives for the quarter. Is clarify them, make sure you're set up to win, and do that. Because the business as usual will still continue and fit in the cracks. Because if you put the water in the jar first and the sand, you're not going to be able to get the rocks in there. But if you do the rocks first, you can get the pebbles in between and the sand and still pour water or beer or whatever you like in all those gaps. And so we've added 2 things on top of what Traction recommends. We use OKR, which is Objective Key Result. That comes out of Intel, I believe, of getting clear on your objective and how do you measure it with key results, and separate the key results from your tactics, how are you going to get those results. And we create projects and tickets. We track these in ConnectWise. So that's the OKRs. You can Google that. And then the second part is Traction does well on the 3-year, 1 year, and your like 90-day, your quarterly rocks. But in between can be a gap that if you keep doing your quarters, you actually don't hit your 1-year goal, or not fully. So we've got a system developed with strategic planning to map out multiple quarters and years. And if you want to see that, let me know. So that's the 90-day rocks. Very important. That's what we talk about every week, making sure they're moving forward. Number 3 is about the scorecard and metrics. And so here you're looking at maybe up to 15 key metrics, and you track these on a week-by-week basis. You set some targets, and these are the core drivers for your net results. It's not looking back at what was your revenue and your profit for last month, looking in the rearview mirror, but what's happened, what can we impact today to make sure we have a great month. And so we implement that with Grafana, looking at our ConnectWise data, and so we break that down from the highest level, CEO dashboard, through the team leads, to the engineers, the dispatchers, project managers. It's been huge. It does take a while to develop these things, and like, what are the real metrics? What are we really impacting here? I gave a presentation on this a few years ago. I'm going to link that in the description so you can check that out, about how we do that using Grafana and ConnectWise, SQL queries, that sort of thing. The tools we use and the mindset about why metrics, what's a good metric. So check the description for that. Number 4 is the VTO. That stands for Vision Traction Organizer. They've got a template up in the Traction website that you can download. It's free, a Word document. So we filled that out for our 3 businesses. And the front side is all about the vision. So your core values, your vision, your 10-year big, hairy, audacious goal, your BHAG, your marketing focus, your proven process, and then your 3-year picture. So looking at revenue, profit, any measurables. Again, that's going to be specific to your business. It could be endpoints or servers. And then what does it look like? Let's say 3 to 10 bullet points. And what does it look like? So give a mental image of that. Fast forwarding down the tunnel of time for 3 years. And then the backside is you'll have 3 columns. There's the one for your 1-year goals. Again, with the metrics on the top and the revenue on the top. And then your 3 quarterly rocks. And then issues. So being clear on what your issues are, of getting what are the monkeys on your back, what's the elephant in the room. Get those on paper so everyone's clear and it's on the table for discussion. Then final thing I want to cover here is great meetings. So that's been really helpful from Traction, is dialing in the meetings. So this is their proven process thrown in the graphic. It starts with your intro meeting, and then you're going to have 1 or 2 days to get the initial operating system bootstrapped and up and going, to fill out the VTO, which is not going to be perfect, but it's a starting point. And then you go into your annual cycle, which is a 2-day offsite meeting every year. They got a agenda for that. Their first day is vision, second day is more traction and your quarterly rocks and issues. And then every quarter you're going to meet one day, preferably offsite, to review the last quarter, your metrics, your performance, and then look ahead at the next quarter and discuss issues. So very powerful, all about results and performance being on the same page. And then so that was the second meeting, is the quarterly, and then the third meeting they have outlined in the book is your weekly level 10 meeting. And the idea is you rate the meeting out of 10 for an awesome meeting where you've not only gone through the agenda, but actually identified the top issues, you've prioritized them, and solved them once and for all. So if we talk through our issues, but we haven't really solved it, we'll rate it literally like a 3, because why are we wasting our time not solving an issue? So taking real action items, deep diving, doing the 5 whys, all these things we've heard about, actually doing it every single week in these 90-minute meetings. We've adjusted some of these schedules. We also do daily huddles. That's part of the Kanban and lean thinking. It's a daily huddle in the various teams. And then some of the level 10s I'll do on a monthly basis because I can't be in 3 or more level 10s every single week. So I'll do like a leadership meeting every month, but the service teams, project teams will meet every single week. So to recap, it starts with people, their roles, the right people in those seats, that they get it, one, have the capacity, and match all the core values. When we figure out the who and who's on the bus, they can make sure the bus gets there and help drive where we're going. Then execute your 90-day rocks, get them done, set up your team to win, and then that discipline, the commitment to get these things done. Number 3, dial in the metrics for each person, for each team, for the whole company. Make them visual. Make sure people are working on those every single day. There's power in that VTO. It's going to take a while to build that. It could take you a year, 2 years. There could be blank spots, and that's okay. Just put in TBD and maybe schedule a separate time, because you've got to get through your meetings and can't get bogged down with perfecting this document. It could take you a week, and perhaps you're just not ready. It needs more thinking and processing to get it all filled out. But whatever you do will help everyone. Number 5, great meeting rhythms that are a great use of time. People don't dread them. People don't no-show, but they want to be there because they're going to get results. And it's good for them and clients. So if you want to, I would love to talk with other CEOs about Traction, how you're using it, and support each other. So if you want to chat about Traction and in a tech company, hit me up on LinkedIn and we'll get something scheduled. And if you want to get the slide deck to my presentation, the PowerPoint and the PDF, hit the link in the description about how we improve profit and performance and our mental well state using some open source tools to visualize the data we already had in our PSA. Thank you.